Hey folks, today is Friday, August 29th, 2025. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news that has been going on this week. This week's jam-packed, so we should just dive in first with the rumor mill stuff. We're talking about PlayStation 6 already. Yes, PlayStation 6 rumored leaked specs are in the news. Take this all with a grain of salt, of course. Nothing is confirmed, nothing is truth, but this comes from Moore's Law is Dead, a YouTube channel / podcast that has said some interesting things in the past, specifically around Steam Deck 2, very focused on hardware and architecture. He is claiming to have some knowledge of the specs of this next PlayStation, this quote-unquote PlayStation 6, and its, whole AMD chipset, as well as the more interesting fact, other than just a spec dump, that it might be a portable, dockable device a la a Nintendo Switch. Check out his whole video if you're interested. I think he makes really good content. He seems like a pretty solid dude with head on his shoulders. It's linked in the description down below. IGN also did a good kind of quick layman's summary that this unannounced PlayStation 6 handheld will, quote, be dockable and backwards compatible with PS4 and PS5 games. The YouTube channel even has information on alleged specs for the device, which you can see on screen here. Interestingly enough, he also kind of touched upon something else, like a kind of spin-off SKU of this PS6, a PS6S type thing, which would kind of be like an Xbox Series S to the Xbox Series X, like a PlayStation version of that. That's interesting. So let's unpack this. The PS6 possibly being dockable, I think is very cool. I think it's like everything going the way of a Switch or a Steam Deck is interesting, but as long as you don't lose that full screen, full living room experience, I'm okay with that. I like, functionality and flexibility. But if this is even true, it's just weird to even think that Sony is kind of reconsidering or rethinking what a console is, as Nintendo Switch did so many years ago, and that kind of blew up everything. Of course, Nintendo Switch is going to change the industry because it's sold so many units, but for Sony to potentially go after that, it's just very interesting. I don't know why I didn't expect it. I expected a PlayStation 6, inevitably, just to be another console with, more hardware. But it seems like the times are changing. Xbox is obviously changing their hardware strategy a little bit. That's still coming into play. So I don't know. This is all very curious. Moore's Law is Dead suggests a fall 2027 release window for these types of devices. And yeah, I think it's going to be quite some time until we hear anything about any of this for real. He's citing some AMD documentation that he has seen, but I feel like the PS5 is still just getting started. I know it's been out for quite a bit, but people are still getting their hands on them. The prices of them, as we talked about last week, have gone up. So I still think nothing is concrete here. For quite a few years, the video game industry and the console hardware cycle has been kind of predictable, but we're getting into uncharted territory. So I want to know what you guys think. Also, if we are talking hardware rumors and leaks, there was another one floating around this week suggesting Steam Deck 2, which has come up in the past from various sources and insiders, including Moore's Law is Dead. But this new one comes from Kepler L2, who a lot of people consider legit. He just said that Steam Deck 2 is apparently going to happen in 2028. So a bit further off than a lot of people expected, but I like the way Valve approaches things. They think a little bit differently, and I think they do things right. So if it is 2028, I'm willing to wait. I have plenty of other little gadgets that'll keep me busy until then. But sticking with Sony news, the Game Post website spotted a job listing, a Sony Santa Monica job listing that suggests more God of War is on the way. I do think that's kind of obvious. There's been rumors and things swirling and circulating about the next God of War for quite some time. They just spotted a job posting that suggests, quote, another third-person God of War project might be in development, just adding weights to other things that we've heard in the past. This job posting is for a senior combat designer that specifically references people having experience with enemies and gameplay mechanics in God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok. So again, it's not like we're hiring for God of War or anything like that. They may just want people to have experience with games that they have under their portfolio, but hey, I think God of War things are an inevitability, especially with the fact that there's that Amazon God of War show coming soon, which actually had been greenlit right away for 2 seasons back to back. So just very curious to see how this is all going to go. Are we going to continue with old man Kratos? Are we going to throw it back again? I miss old edgy Kratos personally, but that's where I'm at. Next up, this video is sponsored by ZipRecruiter. Now, you might find this interesting. It can be really tricky to hire. So many candidates applying for just one job. Depending on the role, if you're hiring, you can get piles and piles of resumes, and it's so hard to find the right candidate for the job. Do they actually have the right skills? Do they actually have the right required experience? It can be overwhelming, but not with ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/gameranx. ZipRecruiter has smart technology going on, so they can identify candidates for your roles really quickly. Like right after you start posting a job, immediately ZipRecruiter gets to work and will start showing you the most qualified people for it, the top talent, which is exactly what you want, right? Plus, you can connect with these top candidates really quickly. You can use ZipRecruiter's pre-written invite to apply message to just get right in touch, and you can actually encourage them to apply sooner. So it's a win-win. So look, ditch the other hiring sites and let ZipRecruiter find what you're looking for, the needle in the haystack. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate the first day. Try it for free at this exclusive web address, ziprecruiter.com/gameranx. Again, that's ziprecruiter.com/gameranx. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Big thanks to them for sponsoring this video. Now back to the news. Now in some fun news, just some things you should take a look at, some things that are all linked in the description down below. We got more gameplay for that beautiful fan project, the Fallout first-person shooter Fallout Bakersfield. We talked about this a few weeks back. If you missed it, maybe you're not subscribed. We've been pushing subscribers lately. We want you guys to subscribe. I know it's annoying, but thank you if you do, because we looked at the data and apparently not everybody is. So again, thank you. But yeah, that Friday show, we talked about that more in depth, but essentially this is a fan project of original Fallout, a small section of one of the original Fallout games, kind of RPG, kind of retro Fallout, but also Doom inspired and in like one of the Doom engines. And this is awesome. Now, this gameplay is heavily edited. It's still very much a work in progress, but it just looks cool as hell, man. Also, coming in from the tail end of Gamescom, which we talked about most Gamescom stuff last week, we got a new update on Replaced. Remember that awesome looking kind of cyberpunk sci-fi Blade Runner game? Well, here's a new developer diary on it showing more gameplay and a little bit more details of what to expect, and this is going to be 2026. And in terms of games that people have just been begging to hear anything about, we've actually got a little bit of new information on Ken Levine's next game, the BioShock creator, Judas. So they've officially released some new art for Judas. This is kind of like a Drew Struzan-inspired cinematic movie poster style splash of art, but also a bit of a developer blog here with Ken describing some of the feature sets of the game and how villainy is going to work, and essentially how you're going to be working with these factions of 3 people, and they can be friends or allies, and they react to you. Essentially, it's like Elizabeth from BioShock Infinite, but what if there were 3 Elizabeths and you could piss her off and she could actually deter you as much as help you? I've said this before, but like I'm one of the few people who have actually been able to go to that studio and experience and play a work in progress version of Judas. And from what I read from this developer blog update, it is very much in line with what I saw with the game. So it seems like things are on course. Still no release date, and Ken did joke about that in the writing, but yeah, it's just good to know the game is still in the works. Also, Battlefield 6, of course, everybody was talking about that with the betas that dropped, but now we got a flashy new PC trailer just highlighting all the PC features you're going to expect, ultra-wide support, specs, all that. And No Man's Sky still continues to be the game that just keeps updating. It will not stop. Just when I thought it was done, here's more. This is No Man's Sky Voyagers, which is going to allow you to build like insane multi-crew ships, more customization, and just like how they often do it, it's just out. It's out right now if you're looking to hop back in. Also, we finally got a release date for Skate. Skate is officially coming. You're going to be able to play Skate. Early access launch September 16th. A lot of questions remain about this one. Some content creators have gotten their hands on it and done some things on it. I haven't touched it, but a lot of questions remain in terms of the free-to-play model, the early access model, the microtransactions, EA, all that. But there is more gameplay floating around out there, and I'm excited for us to actually finally get our hands on this damn thing. They've been working on it for a really long time. And in other news, it's just like a really interesting week for, the console war, essentially, because we got releases of Helldivers 2 on Xbox featuring Halo ODST content like skins and stuff like that's coming. And then also Gears of War Reloaded out on all the platforms, including PS5. I did a before you buy of Gears of War Reloaded when it dropped earlier this week. I played through the campaign and quite a bit of multiplayer on PlayStation 5 and on a DualSense controller. It was a wild experience, but it's a good port. Little things here and there. Gears of War 1 still just remains a really, really great game. The multiplayer is still brutal. Nashers, dodge rolling, everything feels like you remember. But not to be greedy, but I see a lot of people in the comments, and I agree, like, this is great, but Gears 2 is the best in my mind, campaign-wise. When are we gonna get that? We need the trilogy, dude, so come on. Still, it's a very interesting time because we've talked about Xbox opening the floodgates, PlayStation, like all the back and forth, right? And this is really the biggest example of it. A big event, people playing games on different platforms they haven't experienced before, trophies, cross-platform progression, all these things working hand in hand in a lot of ways, especially with Gears. So I wanna know if you're one of the people that have been experiencing this, if you're jumping in. How are you feeling? I'm still curious to see how Xbox handles these things in the future and just what pushes Xbox to still innovate now that things are a little bit more open door. But that's a whole other video. Otherwise, for right now, I'm just happy more people are playing Helldivers because it's awesome. Also releasing this week, NBA 2K26. I don't have anything really to say about it. Sorry. What do you want me to talk about? Sports? But also, don't miss, it looks incredible. I can't wait to play this. Shinobi Art of Vengeance. It's out. Reviews are dropping. It seems like it's great. A good throwback. The art style's awesome. I've touched a little bit at preview events, and it seems pretty sweet. Also, finally out on PlayStation is Lost Soul Aside. This we talked about many, many years ago. We were one of the first people to cover this damn game. It was like a one-person project, kind of doing a big, glitzy, flashy, kind of Final Fantasy 15 / Devil May Cry combat action game. It blew up into a bigger project. Sony got involved. Now it's out. Steam reviews so far are a little mixed. We're working on a before you buy on it. I'm not on it. I'm going on vacation, but Falcon and Eric behind the scenes will have you covered on that. Also, last but certainly not least, I did the before you buy last week. We talked about it. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is now out. So happy Metal Gear Week. I'm biased. I'm a huge fan of the franchise. I'm also really picky, and I didn't want them to screw it up. I don't think they screwed it up. It's got some technical issues. It's got some frame rate issues, Unreal Engine issues aside. But I think if this is how people jump into Metal Gear for the first time, cool. The original will always be there. I still love the original, but I'm glad the developers here didn't cut anything or really screw anything up. So if you're jumping into Metal Gear for the first time, have fun, yeah, happy to have you. Welcome to this weird, wild world I've been obsessed with my entire life. So if you want to check out the before you buy, again, that's linked in the description down below. If you did check it out, thank you. That was like our biggest video of the month. Also, speaking of big videos, friend of the show, Mr. Matty Plays. Shout out to YouTubers getting the scoop here, man. He got to speak to Expedition 33's own director, Guillaume Broche, the guy behind Sandfall and Expedition 33. A great conversation, worth listening to, but the biggest bits of nuggets out of it is that this isn't the end for Clair Obscur, with him really kind of finally definitively clarifying that Clair Obscur is the overall kind of franchise or world, and Expedition 33 was just one story they wanted to tell, kind of implying that there is more. He talked about writing sequels. So basically, it seems like Expedition whatever else is coming, or something else from the Clair Obscur world, and I am very happy about that because it was one of my favorite games of the year. It's a great conversation. It's about 45 minutes, so if you want to check that out, that is linked in the description down below. Go send him some love. He does some great work, but that's what we got for you this week. A jam-packed week, like I said, but next week's even crazier with some game releases I'm really excited to talk about. But for now, that's it. Let me know in the comments what you think about everything going on. The PlayStation 6 being a dockable hybrid type Nintendo Switch advice. Do you think that's BS? Can you see that? Can you actually imagine what that would be like? All the different PS6 different types of SKUs or different versions. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you're playing. Pinned comment down below. It's a sponsored comment, but reply to that thread and just let us know what you're currently playing. If it's something new, like Gears on PS5 or Helldivers on Xbox or anything else, just hit us up down there because it helps for our research. But I think I've yapped enough, so thank you for listening. We talk about the news every week. I've been here for a decade every Friday, just getting you caught up real quick. Clicking the like button helps us, man. Thank you. But that's it. So I'm Jake Baldino. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Pizza's on me. See ya.